Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I want to talk about this weird heaviness that comes with making art online. I think a lot of artists, maybe you feel it too. It's this pressure to not just create, but to perform, to be a brand, to be a persona, to be this shiny version of yourself who never gets tired, never experiments, never fails, and always knows exactly what they're doing. So yeah, today I want to talk about the performative nature of social media art, how everything feels like a stage now, how artists are kind of stuck between wanting to express something real and wanting to survive the algorithm, and like what that does to your soul. Because yeah, it does something. It changes the way you create. It changes the way you feel. It changes the way you look at your own work. And I just think we should talk about it. Before we begin, if you like my work, please subscribe, comment, and consider donating through link in description. All right, let's go. Part 1. When art became content. So, okay, let's start here. Remember when art used to be art? Like you made something because something inside you needed to come out? You scribbled something in a notebook. You sat by a window writing a poem. You painted something messy and strange and didn't show a single soul because it was just for you. And now everything is content. Everything has to be packaged, cropped, color graded, timed to go viral. Hashtags hooks in the first 3 seconds. You won't believe what I drew this week. Captions optimized for SEO, this soft voiceover, the background lo-fi track, the perfectly chaotic desk setup that somehow always looks aesthetic, even though nobody's real desk looks like that unless they spent 45 minutes rearranging literally everything on it. Like, when did that happen? When did making art become performing the act of making art? When did we start talking more about posting consistently than about actually improving our craft? And I don't know, I find it weird that we're living in a time where artists almost need to be influencers first and creators second. You have to know how to film yourself drawing. You have to know how to edit, market, trend chase, title, brand, polish. You have to build this whole digital persona around the work just so people will see it. It's like the art itself isn't enough anymore. And maybe that's the saddest part. Part 2, the persona you didn't ask for. So here's the thing no one really talks about. When you post art online, especially consistently, you kind of start building this version of yourself. This performative shadow, this predictable, neatly packaged artist identity. And it's usually not even intentional. You don't wake up one day like, yes, I shall now become a brand. It just happens. You post one kind of video, people like it, you post it again. The algorithm likes that you're predictable. Suddenly this becomes your thing, your aesthetic, your vibe, your niche. And if you ever try something else, something experimental, something that doesn't fit the persona, it flops. Nobody clicks on it. As a writer, sometimes I feel like I'm still trying to recreate a short story, a favorite online journal of mine published months ago. This is where us artists start to shrink inside our own creations. We start to think, if I don't keep doing this exact thing, nobody will care. And that sucks, because the whole point of being an artist is to evolve, right? To grow, to change, to surprise even yourself. But social media rewards the opposite. Sameness. Consistency over curiosity. Predictability over exploration, performance over authenticity. And once you're stuck in that box, that persona, it's really, really hard to climb back out. Part 3. The algorithm is the new audience. And look, I know it sounds dramatic, but the algorithm kind of became the harshest art critic of our generation. Not because it understands art, because it absolutely doesn't, but because it shapes what artists think will work, what will fly, what will get traction. And it's weird because the algorithm doesn't care about meaning or nuance or originality or risk. It cares about speed and crisp visuals and retention and your ability to grab someone's attention before they scroll to the next shiny thing. So artists start asking the wrong questions. Instead of, is this honest? We ask, will this perform? Instead of, what am I trying to say? We ask, what will get views? Instead of, does this move me? We ask, will this reach new audiences? And little by little, sometimes without even noticing, the art bends. It shifts. It changes shape to fit the container of what's liked, what's shareable, what's digestible in under 10 seconds. And that's when art loses something sacred. Because art was never meant to be optimized. Art was meant to be experienced, sometimes slowly, quietly, intimately. But social media doesn't want intimacy. It wants immediacy. And if you're an artist in this era, you're kind of forced to wrestle with that, whether you want to or not. Part 4. The pressure to always be on. Something else that I think is super exhausting, and I'm definitely ranting here, is this pressure to always be on. Like, you can't just exist. You can't be unproductive. You can't have a slow month or a bad week or a low creative season, because on social media, silence is punished. If you disappear for a bit, the algorithm forgets you. Your audience forgets you. Your momentum dies. The whole machine moves on without you. So artists end up performing productivity. You pretend everything is fine when you're burnt out. You post speed paints when you don't even feel like sketching. You record voiceovers sounding inspirational when you're actually stressed and empty. You pretend to love what you're making, because if you don't, you're afraid everyone else will stop loving it too. And man, that pressure, it kills authenticity. It kills experimentation. And sometimes it kills the joy. Because art is not meant to be constant. Art is not a conveyor belt. It's not something you can always crank out on demand. But online, it kind of has to be. And that mismatch, that tension between human creativity and machine expectations, it twists you up inside. It makes you feel like you have to lie, like you're performing the role of artist who's always inspired, instead of just being a human being who makes things. Part 5. Vulnerability versus performance. One of the strangest things about social media art is that it pretends to celebrate vulnerability, but what it actually rewards is curated vulnerability. Not real vulnerability, not the messy kind, not the kind that makes you uncomfortable or unsure or honest in a way that might not translate well into a carousel post. No, it rewards the kind of vulnerability that still looks good. Aesthetic vulnerability, palatable vulnerability, pretty vulnerability. You're allowed to be sad as long as it's accompanied by soft piano music and a well-lit shot of your sketchbook. You're allowed to talk about burnout as long as you say it in a soothing voice and pair it with B-roll of you lighting a candle. And it's almost like social media created this whole genre of emotional performance. People aren't just showing their struggles, they're presenting them, editing them, coloring them, packaging them. And I'm not judging anyone, like genuinely. I get why people do it, because it works, because it gets engagement, because it feels safer than showing the real, raw, scary stuff. But the problem is, artists start to confuse the performance with the truth. They start thinking they need to be beautiful while they're breaking. They need to be wise while they're confused. They need to be poetic while they're hurting. And that's not vulnerability, that's branding. Part 6. When you start seeing yourself from the outside. You ever notice that the moment you start posting your art online, you also start watching yourself? Like you're no longer fully inside the experience. You're slightly outside it, observing, commentating, thinking about angles and captions and whether the final result will be good enough to post. And this is kind of scary to admit, but after a while, that self-observation becomes a habit, a reflex, almost a long-term side effect of sharing your creativity publicly. You start looking at yourself the way an audience might. You start imagining what strangers will think before the work is even finished. You start adjusting your process not because it's right, but because it's visible. You lose the private space where creativity is supposed to breathe. You lose the innocence of making something only you will ever see. And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest casualties of modern creative life. The loss of privacy. The loss of making art without witnesses. The loss of creating without expectation. Because when you're always being watched, you're always performing, even for yourself. Okay, I know I'm ranting and maybe spiraling a little. So let me slow down for a second and just acknowledge something. Social media has also given artists opportunities that never existed before. People who would have never seen your work are now your biggest supporters. You can build a community, find your people, meet collaborators, share your voice. You don't need a gallery. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for someone to discover you. You can share your art instantly with the whole world. That's powerful. That's beautiful. But, and this is the important part, it comes with a cost. And we have to be honest about that cost. Because if we ignore it, it'll eat us alive. So yeah, here's the question that actually matters. How do you stay authentic when the platform is designed to make you perform? And I think after like years of watching artists burn out, reinvent themselves, lose themselves, come back, try again, I think it comes down to making things nobody will ever see. Art that's too weird to post, art that's too personal, art that's just for fun. I actually think, and this might sound kind of dramatic, but I think a lot of artists today are starting to crave something real again. Something honest, something unperformative. There's this quiet revolution happening, a return to sincerity, a return to slowness, a return to art that isn't trying to sell anything or impress anyone. And maybe this whole performative era will teach us something important, that art doesn't need to be seen by millions to matter. It just needs to be real. But I want to say this, your art is still yours, even here, even in this performative world. Even on this giant digital stage where everyone feels like they're being watched. You can still make things that matter. You can still be honest. You can still be messy, experimental, slow, chaotic, strange, vulnerable. You can still make art that isn't content, just expression. And maybe that's the real rebellion now. So yeah, keep making your art. But don't forget that you're more than the performance. You're the person behind it. And that's the part that matters.